Okay, that should be good.
Turn it on.
I'll turn it on. And
And you're going to need to
put it
back
up a
your
little
chairs
bit.
away
There,
just a
no,
little.
that's fine. I just moved it up.
Well, there's only one of you showing because it.
I'll get closer. Take your hand off. See, this is what's the problem. Give me a little. All right, that should do it.
You're going to have to scoot your chair over.
I
Go
will.
sit down and I'll tell you where
Okay.
you are. That's a little better. Okay, this one, lots of room, squished, and
Okay, is everything started?
yeah, they're going. They're
All
going.
right, we're started. We'll try to trim off the. If you're seeing all this setup, it's because we didn't find a technician who knew how to trim off the front of the video. This is the setup. Okay, it's the 19th of June, and I'm Gary Davis, and I'm here with Holly Tomchey, the Delgado Law Firm, and Holly and I worked together in the past in her capacity as a college attorney. And we're going to talk a little bit about today about what it is that a college attorney or a university attorney does, Holly. So thank you for being with me.
My pleasure.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you go to law school, and how did you get into this thing we call higher ed law?
Very good. So I went to law school at University of Kentucky, grew up in Kentucky, went to Nashville to Vanderbilt for undergrad, and then ended up back home for law school. From law school, I was lucky enough to get a clerkship with a federal trial judge. Introduced me to a lot of different types of law, doing a lot of different types of cases.
Was that in Kentucky?
It was the Eastern District of Kentucky, Carl Forrester.
Oh, okay.
From Judge Carl Forrester, I was lucky enough to go work for the Sixth Circuit Federal Court of Appeals in London, Kentucky.
So the appellate court level. One of the things we talk about in this class at Benedictine is the fact that the courts have different levels, and you got a chance to see the appellate court level up close.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's the Sixth Circuit, and for Judge Eugene Seiler. Eugene Seiler's clerkship lasted a year, and after being in London, Kentucky, which is on the fringe of Appalachia and about 10,000 people, I needed a big city, so I moved to Chicago. My background, right when I moved to Chicago, I joined a large downtown law firm and got involved in complex commercial litigation. So businesses fighting businesses left me wanting a little bit more. I moved over to Delgado Law Group and was doing federal trial work, more of the civil rights nature, and got introduced to the couple of different community college clients and fell in love with their mission, and then focused my skill set on helping them as their generalist, and then doing a lot of their labor and employment work. Okay,
good. The work that you did for the colleges, you were the lawyer they had retained to assist them in their work at the community college. They didn't have, what I'm trying to say is you weren't employed by the community college itself, right?
Right, outside counsel, serving as the general counsel to work as the sole, frankly, attorney for the colleges without a legal department.
All right. Well, and let's talk about that. Some universities and colleges, as you know, have their own attorneys on staff. I'm guessing you were at Vanderbilt, right? I'll bet they have their own attorney, right? Right on campus?
Probably more than one.
Yeah, probably more than one. Yeah, you're right. Some of those offices are pretty large. As you perceive it, what's the difference? Well, first of all, why wouldn't a college have its own attorney? Why would it choose to retain a firm as the colleges that have worked with you have done?
So as doing work for colleges, you have a lot of issues come across your plate, and you can know a little bit about a lot of different things, or you can go to a firm and have some experts in some specific areas. So I think it's the depth and breadth that a firm offers is something that a college might consider if they don't have their own in-house. Generally, especially for smaller colleges,
there's a matter of scale too, right?
Cost prohibitive as well.
Yeah, right. Okay, so had the firm, the Delgado firm, worked with community colleges before you came along, or were you the first to do that?
I was the first to do that.
Okay, so
yes.
you're going to introduce the firm to that part of higher ed law.
It was their client, and I was able to service them.
Right, okay. Tell me about the students have read the Boomer slipping on the banana peel piece, and I know you have too. Did that resonate with you when you read it?
Absolutely.
Okay, what are some of the things that sounded somewhat familiar?
Sure. Well, everything's familiar, including all the different dog breeds, because I'm a dog lover at heart.
Oh, that's good.
Right, right. But those are all issues from a lawyer standpoint, from Boomer's misperception that it was going to be this easy life in the land of academia, practicing law versus the big city, high-pressure law firm. A fallacy, as we all know. There's lots of demands that the colleges have and lots of different internal clients, as the article points out. I find it really important to identify who is the client and get a line of a protocol or a line of direction. Who are you taking instruction from? Whose questions are you answer? What's the chain that you have to go through to be asked to do the work?
Well, what about his discovery that your primary client is the university, or in your case, the college? Is that the way you see it too?
It is. It is.
And yet a lot of people don't get that. They think that the president might think that you're there to represent him or her. Exactly,
and I often say when in one-on-one meetings, I represent the college, it's run by the board, here are our issues, and I still get questions that are personal in nature, tied to the business of the college, that you just have to deflect.
Right.
And people understand, and they get embarrassed if they've
in Boomer's case, he was asked to provide tax advice, remember?
Right.
How do I handle my home office deduction and that sort of thing? So you're not there to provide that kind of advice. In fact, if you get into it, you might get chewed out by the president. Didn't he get chewed out by the president?
Sure, chewed out by the president, or worse for me, chewed out by the ARGC, which is the attorney discipline in Illinois. Right?
Okay.
You've got to consider your conflicts.
Right, and you have to know who your client is.
Exactly.
And if you aren't careful, you're representing clients who are on opposite sides in the same case.
True,
right?
true.
And that's dangerous for your professional future. Well, tell me some of the ways that you spend your time. And you've gone through several annual cycles with the colleges, I know that. What are some of the common legal issues that come up that you end up dealing with? Just give me a few, and they don't have to necessarily be from the ones where you spend the most time to the least amount of time, but just let's talk about some of the biggies. What's a typical kind of issue that a college attorney might have to help the college with?
It really is a practice like an internist. There's a very generalistic approach, so I get a variety of things that come across my desk. I'd say the majority of work is labor and employment work, especially in the United States, right? So negotiating the contracts, the collective bargaining agreements between the college and the unions for all the different the unions involved that a college might have.
So labor law.
A lot of labor law.
Okay.
And that also involves, once the collective bargaining agreements are passed, it involves working with the Human Resources Department on grievances, and if the grievances go to arbitration. It's interpreting the contracts once they're implemented. Everybody thinks they know what they mean, but then a disagreement comes up and you have to sort that out again. And employment issues as well, from employment contracts, the negotiating and drafting of them, to if it doesn't work out, the severance issues, to discipline issues. It seems like I'm on speed dial for HR.
What kind of discipline? I mean, you're talking about employee discipline?
Employee discipline, right.
Yeah.
So there's a problem employee, let's help the employee be the better employee, but also put the discipline in the file so that if you have to take it to the next level, you've got the documents in place to move progressively.
So it sounds like there's some preventive law involved, right? Not everything that you deal with is going to go to court, right?
That's what I really enjoy. So it's not, in my former life of being a litigator, I always got a case that was blowing up, right? You're fighting and fighting and fighting. The college work and the education law really gives you a chance to help the client move the business in the direction that they decide it wants to go in, but put processes and policies in place and help with training to help avoid litigation.
Right. Well, I'm going to take off on that avoid litigation thing. When I started working with community college boards, and none of them were your boards, so I'm not speaking about your boards, but some of the boards I watched in action got led around by the nose by the, sorry for this, the college attorney. That is to say, everything that a college board does entails some risk, right? And so some attorneys are extremely risk averse. They think it's their job to keep the college out of, or the university out of hot water. So they keep telling the board, well, don't do that. You know, for example, I'll just make this up. And I really am making it up. Suppose a college board got interested in a program for the homeless. And the attorney saw all kinds of problems with that because he'd worked in poverty law before and he knew that people get sued by. So there are some homeless people who become very gifted at suing people who are helping them. Just like in every line of work or every station in life, there are people who know how to work the legal system. So let's say the attorney's had some bad experiences with that, and he says to the board, oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to help the homeless because there'd be legal risks involved, and basically pushes them away from a mission that they think they really ought to be pursuing. That troubled me because I thought, in the end, it's the board who ought to make this call, right? Correct. On the advice of the attorney. Nothing wrong with the attorney laying out the warning, but in the end, isn't it really the client's call?
Absolutely. I like to point out tell them what the law is, ABC. Here are the risks of doing it this way and doing it this way, and you decide. We in this office talk about, there's the cliff. We show them where it is, and if they want to walk off of it, we've told them where it is and how to not fall off.
Yeah, it's not like they haven't been warned.
Right.
Okay. What can a college do to control their legal costs? So, not that you don't want to have billable hours, but colleges worry sometimes about the amount they're spending on their legal help, and also the losses they're suffering maybe in court. Do you have any inside baseball kinds of advice for a college that wants to control its legal costs?
Sure, a couple of points right up front. Training. Spend the money on the training at the get-go. Get your FOIA officer, your Freedom of Information Act officer trained so that they can handle the FOIAs that come in. Right. Get your the person that's in charge of FERPA compliance, the privacy laws that apply to the students.
Student records.
Get them trained.
Right.
Get your HR people trained so that they can spot the issues if there's a discrimination issue pending or brewing.
Right.
Can identify it. And pick up the phone and call a quick conversation, 5 or 10 minutes early on
in the process.
Situation will save you thousands of dollars on the back end once it's all blown up and your legal counsel has to fix it.
Right. And even down to the faculty level, right? You don't want faculty members posting their grades using Social Security numbers or something like that.
Exactly, yes.
Which used to be legal, but it isn't legal anymore. That's would be a violation of the FERPA, wouldn't it? I think so.
A couple other federal laws as well.
You get into big trouble that way. So whatever people's job is in the college or the university, they ought to be given the kind of legal training, layman's training that you were talking about, right?
Exactly. They should be asking their counsel to come in and do annual updates on the law in the different areas that the departments are responsible for. We'll point out the fact when in Illinois now you now have to post on a state website what job openings you have.
Really?
I bet not everybody knows that.
I didn't know that. So once in a while you ought to sit down maybe on an annual basis and say, are we up to snuff in our training? Is there anything we've missed and what should we cover this year?
Yes.
Oh, annual cycle. Okay, well, anything else that you'd like to offer in terms of this class is really training people who are become high-level administrators. Some of them are high-level administrators already on what they will need to be successful in leading colleges in a time of change. The program, as you know, is called Higher Education Organizational Change. Right. So as things are continually in flux and continually changing, any last-minute advice you'd have for these administrators who someday, many of them, will be presidents of these colleges?
Sure. No surprises. Nobody likes surprises. Get out in front of issues. And if it means you need to call the legal counsel or call the board chair, do it right away.
Right, if you're going to sleep on it, make it a short nap sleep, not a week's sleep, because by that time things may have progressed to the point where some of the damages can't be undone, right? Okay, early on, contact with the attorney sometimes can actually save the college money or the university money. That's what you're saying.
It's been my experience.
Okay, well, we're here to draw on your experience. Thank you very much for being with us today. This is going to be valuable for our students and valuable for the program. And thank you for the good work you do for the colleges.
Gary, thanks for having me.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. red.